You go, boy.
Whoa. Hey, this a vibe, nigga. Whoa. Woo. Secure the bag, I need more. Hey, 3P Jordan. Whoa. Woo. I can't keep it on a low. This a whole vibe. I don't need a plug, no cosign. Thinking out loud, that's a gold mine. Mask on, yeah, COVID-19. Baby mama, yeah, looking like Rihanna. Rest in peace to George, rest in peace Brianna. Still kicking like Van Damme with my niggas in Amsterdam.
Some bombs, some Yahtzees, some savages. Oh yeah. It's yachts. Oh, there we go. There we go. Can I get a Ric Flair too? Can I get Ric Flair? Can I get Dom DeMarco? All that good stuff.
Empty. Just empty the bench early.
Empty the chamber. Hey world. It's your boy. It's U-Goboy. Episode 14. All that good stuff. You see this bearded face. You see that bearded face. There's Mongo. It's about that time. It's Sports Talk. Sports Talk. What's up, baby? The dynamic duo
Let's
has
go.
yet again returned. Yes. Live from Bravery Studios in lovely Garfield, New Jersey. This is episode 14, Sports Talk.
Amazing.
Wow. I mean, we're already 2 months in to the year already.
Yeah.
Like just zoom by.
Crazy.
Lot to talk about today, but before we begin, as always, gotta pay the bills. U-Goboy merch. U-Goboy merch. Grab your There we go. U-Goboy merch.
Boy.
Mongo's got the merch.
You go, boy.
He's got the hat. I got the
You
hoodie.
go,
We got
boy.
matching hoodies today. We're brothers. We're happy and we're singing. One of us is colored. All that good stuff.
Had to check.
All that good stuff. Shout out to Teespring. Shout out to Jeff Bezos, of course, for the hat. Grab
Thanks,
yourself
Jeff.
some U-Goboy merch. We're doing lovely. We are closing in on 600,000 views on YouTube, on the YouTube channel.
Let's go.
Big Yahtzee's there. Can I get a Ric Flair woo for that, please? Oh yeah. We are closing in on 220,000 views on TikTok. Oh yeah, another Ric Flair.
I'll
Flair.
do the woo myself for that one.
yeah,
That
please.
sounds like, woo! That one is worth a personal woo.
Yahtzee. Oh yeah. You love to see it. We are rapidly moving. Shout out to everybody streaming the music as well. We got a new video on the way.
Whoa,
A new video is on the way. All the time. By yours truly, U-Goboy. It's currently streaming on all digital platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, this, that, and the third. But the video, I just got the final cut today from my main man, A1 Vision. It's a movie. Like all my music videos. It's a movie. That is the 6th video I shot with A1, and we're just gonna keep this train rolling, man. I mean, so what were you gonna say?
That's a Bart Scott can't wait right there. That's the next drop we need. I'm fired up for that one.
Okay, so you guys heard it here. The next sports song, the Bart Scott.
Can't wait. That's
That's
man.
coming. That's coming.
Love the music.
But yeah, thank you, and thank you for all the subscribers, old subscribers, new subscribers across all digital platforms. Thank you for supporting your boy. Hey, a round of applause for the subscribers and the followers. You guys are growing this channel. You're blowing this channel up. We are gonna hit 1 million views. The road to 1 million. That first million is the hardest to get, but after that, it just gets progressively
That's easy, right?
Yeah, it's a walk in the
Then
park.
everyone just tells one friend, right?
Yeah, tell a friend.
Just keeps going from there.
Tell a friend, like the Oscar Mayer mobile, whatever. But again, thank you for all the support across all the channels. You guys have been great, blowing up the pod, blowing up the music, and we're just gonna keep this train rolling. This is Sports Talk. A lot to talk about tonight, man. We got Jets Talk. Can I get a Jets? Jets. We got Jets Talk on the way. It's coming. There it is. It's coming. Mongo's got a pipe bomb about his new OC. We're not going to say any names.
I'm just going to sigh for 55 minutes. That's going to be the show. You're going to do it, and I'm just going to disappointedly sigh to my microphone.
We're not going to do this too much, but one time it's how about them Cowboys? We're going to do some Cowboys talk as well.
How about them? Amazing how you can take 4 English words and change the connotation.
The cadence, it's all in the cadence.
How about them Cowboys?
It's all in the cadence. Yeah, we got some Cowboys. We got a eulogy to talk about my beloved Dallas Cowboys. 28 years and counting. Thank you very much, Jerry Jones and company, Dak and company. But yes, some coaching changes, some news about the recap of how that season ended so illustriously. We're also going to recap the NFL playoffs. All the games are in, and that is a perfect segue to the Super Bowl is upon us, with the Kansas City Chiefs, who I'll be rooting for, although I'm not going to be watching the game, and the Philadelphia Eagles, winners of the NFC versus winners of the AFC, doing battle. So you tell me how the game goes. I'll be probably streaming something on Amazon Prime or Hulu or whatever. I might just go to the movies and watch Avatar. Like I went to the movies to see The Whale with Brendan Fraser. By the way, he's up for an Oscar. Big shout out to Brendan Fraser.
Was good?
It was good.
Held?
It was really good. Really
right.
good. I watched that over the NFC Championship. I was not interested in any of those teams winning.
Savage. You're not wrong. That one particularly. I mean, the Super Bowl. I mean, come on. I'm questioning that move.
Okay.
But the NFC Championship, I'm not mad about.
I'll have my phone open. You know, I'll be checking the scores as I'm streaming.
You never know how many times Tom Brady's going to retire during the Super Bowl.
Boy.
So that's at least fun to watch out for.
Yes.
That could be a prop bet in and of itself.
Oh, for sure. We got prop bets too on the way with Mongo. That's going to be fun. And we also, if we have time, we'll try to zoom to it. We got the Royal Rumble, a recap of the Royal Rumble. Shout out to the two winners, Rhea Ripley, who is gorgeous, by the way. I've been in love with her since NXT.
Yeah,
She's
not wrong.
A lot of Aussie right there, baby. Oh yeah, get savage for Rhea Ripley.
Savage.
And the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, winner of the men's Royal Rumble. So both are headed to WrestleMania in the respective main events. Rhea Ripley will take on Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and Cody Rhodes will face off against the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns.
That's a match.
That is a match I've been waiting for. I cannot wait. I'm gonna have the kettle corn popcorn popped, ready to go. I'm not moving. I'm hyped. I'm just hyped for the ring entrances.
You're allocating all the Super Bowl snacks over to WrestleMania, which that I don't fault you at all for.
Ric Flair move for that, please. Of course. Yes, that's the plan.
That's a good move.
Picking up what I'm putting down.
You might actually get Ric Flair there with Charlotte in the building. You might actually get that woo live and in person. For
he was at Raw 30.
50th year in a row.
He was at Raw 30. I was loving the suit he was rocking. But yeah, a lot to get to. Sports talk. We're gonna kick things off with some Jets talk one more time. You know, your Jets, Jets.
Whoopity-doo.
So the Jets, as we eulogized, is that a word? I think that's a word.
Yeah, I think you got it.
You'll allow it?
Yeah,
I'll allow it. As we eulogized on the previous sports talk, they have a new offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, who has been a punching bag on this show.
Our boy Nathaniel Hackett.
Talk about karma.
Whoops. Yeah, that didn't work out well.
When that happened, I was asleep. You texted me. I woke up to angry texts about you, like dropping mini pipe bombs. I was like, what's Mongo mad about? And then I go on Bleacher Report. I'm like, holy cow. Dom DeMarco, please. So, Natty Mac, or Natty Hack, I'm sorry, Natty Hack.
Yeah, thanks. Big difference.
Is the new OC of the Jets. Mongo, walk me through. Walk all our viewers through. How did it come together?
Haphazardly. Can I just end it there? Can poorly just be the answer to the question? No. So you got the safe version. I'm in a thread with a bunch of football watchers and other podcasters. And so when the news broke, I didn't, just same thing I did with you. I didn't post it. I didn't say anything. I just dropped a series of Fs in a row. And a buddy of mine who's a Titans fan knew exactly what was going and dropped a series of U's. And since this is a family-friendly show, I will not end this conversation. But to paraphrase the immortal Gene Shepard, I'll just say it this way. We didn't say fudge. We said the word. So, and here's the thing. I don't necessarily think, and the statistics back me up here, Nathaniel Hackett, not necessarily a terrible offensive coordinator. Now, obviously, he's had some help along the way. He had a little thing we call Aaron Rodgers to help him out. Mm-hmm. But as an offensive coordinator, I'm not that worried. But the fact that we all had the same reaction of just... Mm-hmm. That's the problem here. You're taking, and I would love to have this conversation with a Lions fan, Cardinals fan, or Browns fan anytime you want, but you're taking arguably the biggest joke franchise in the NFL history, and you're putting undisputedly the biggest joke of 2022 in the NFL and you're putting those together. Just from a PR standpoint, how is that a good idea? And then also, let's say you are a veteran right tackle, because unless their plan is to draft 4 offensive linemen with 1 first-round pick, they're going to have to rely on spending some money in the offseason on that offensive line. And if you're just a veteran right tackle, it's not an easy sell. Who wants to come block for Derek Carr under the tutelage of Nathaniel Hackett? Like, that's not currently an attractive sounding English sentence.
Right there. Tough sell right there, buddy.
And so that's the problem. I think he'll be fine, once the season gets rolling. But why do this now? Even if I mean, the answer is obvious. He's basically just part of the edible arrangement you're putting on Aaron Rodgers' desk when he comes. He's just part of the proverbial fruit basket, effectively.
That's a savage.
But why couldn't you just go backwards? Hey, listen, Nathaniel Hackett, we're coming to get you if Aaron Rodgers wants to come here. There are safer offensive coordinators out there. There are veterans that you could have just plug and played, on April 1st even, because if you were going to go with those safe guys, who those offensive coordinators are out there. What free agents would have made sense, because it's not like a defensive coordinator where you need to necessarily, 3-4 versus 4-3 can completely change the 11 guys out there. Spoiler, you still need a right tackle. Spoiler, you still need a tight end. Now you might want a better blocking tight end, but those guys grow on trees.
True.
That's not the end of the world. So I don't like the timing of this. Even though at the end of the day, he's not as bad of an offense coordinator as any human on earth is going to joke about him.
Oh, yeah. Like the video, subscribe to the channel as always. Listen, if this is laying the groundwork for Aaron Rodgers, it makes sense. It makes too much sense.
Right.
But if that's not the case, which it's not a slam dunk that he's even going to play next year.
No.
This is why Devontae Adams left and couldn't. And so, and all these Devontae low-key wants him to come to Vegas so he can replay the same exact thing. Like, Adams is locked there for another 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Like, he's definitely going to be there. You bring in Aaron Rodgers, who's year to year between peyote and whatever he does in the offseason. You want to just replay that? There's a reason why X's are X's. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's like,
absolutely.
So my thing is, I don't see him going to the Raiders. I could be wrong, but I don't see it. I see this makes sense for him to go to your beloved Jets. But again, that's not a slam dunk because no one really knows what he's going to do. I know he will be. If he is traded, though, unequivocally, he's headed to the AFC. The Packers have made it abundantly clear they don't want him to be in the NFC to come back to haunt them like the ghost of Christmas past. And that makes sense. So he'll go to the AFC. I just don't know where. I just don't know when. But him going there though, I still laugh because we dragged him on the show like through the streets, tied to a horse like medieval times, and it's funny that he ends up with your Jets.
And with all due respect to Nathaniel Hackett, who I'm sure I'm going to have to talk about on this show for 13 weeks before he gets fired.
Savage, please.
we weren't wrong.
No, we weren't.
To a point where. I almost question, will other teams' defensive coordinators start to get cuter with their play calling, almost hoping that they put Nathaniel Hackett in a position where he has to guess. Because the nice thing is, obviously, Nathaniel Hackett won't be making the decisions for the Jets.
True.
But if he has to make an adjustment at halftime, if I'm a defense, that's my goal. My goal is forcing Nathaniel Hackett to think next year, which is terrifying, right? That's not the position we want to be in. The goal is that the coach can go on autopilot for 60 minutes. That's not the position you want to be in, but that's where we are. And now just the last thing on Rodgers here, you add the bad PR that's going to come with Hackett after every disaster he was last year. Mm-hmm. You have a team that literally made it very clear we will unilaterally turn on a quarterback if we deem him to be the problem. I don't know if you saw Quinnen Williams with that text during the playoffs. He tweeted out during the 49er game, see, that's what it's like when you don't have a quarterback or something along those lines. I'm talking about a savage,
That's
right
a savage. That's a savage.
And so they will turn on a quarterback. We know Elijah Moore will storm out of the locker room. There's a lot of reasons why if you have any control over where you're going, you wouldn't, as a quarterback, want to go to the Jets. And so even though they're one of the most arguably logical fits and quarterback-hungry teams right now, obviously the Colts need one. If Derek Carr moves on, the Raiders are going to need one. The Texans need one. I don't know why on earth you wouldn't want to play for DeMeco Ryans. He's the opposite of Nathaniel Hackett. If I'm a QB, get me to Houston, even if you're just a bridge quarterback for a couple years if they draft somebody. But the Jets are as logical a place of any, but they're not appealing just from an emotional standpoint, especially a guy like Rodgers who's so in the media. You know, he's on Pat McAfee's show every week. He hears it. He knows it. He wouldn't want to be on a show where, or on a team where there's so much drama that I just called them a show. I mean, that's how dramatic the Jets are at times.
It's not that far off.
So I don't know if I see it as a fit, but Nathaniel Hackett doesn't hurt. I mean, he's just an olive branch towards Aaron Rodgers.
Again, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Nathaniel Hackett, the new OC of the Jets. Get everybody, please donate to Mongo's Cash App and Venmo.
Beers will be bought at an all-time high at 12:30 p.m. on Sundays from September to about Halloween when they're eliminated from the playoffs.
A lot of 1 o'clock window games.
Yeah, not much Monday night happening next year, unless they get Aaron Rodgers. Then they're going to be that's going to be like when Brady went to Tampa. They're going to blast them on every opportunity they have to play night games.
That changes everything. You guys are locked in for like 6 primetime games, maybe more, and a lot of flex opportunities as well later in the year if good old A-Rod, the other A-Rod, shows up. But we'll see. We'll see. Sure. Goodness gracious. So we'll segue. Can I get a how about them Cowboys real quick? Por favor. Just not too many of those left. And can I get some sad music, please? Some sad music. Por favor, for these Cowboys. 28 years and counting. It's coming. But I'll start things off until the music arrives. Here we go again. Same bat time, same bat channel. There we go. Titanic. Well done. Celine Dion. Oh man. Just let it play for a minute. I gotta gather my thoughts. I'm king of the world.
Said the Eagles.
Said the Eagles. Oh my God. But yeah, lot of directions I can go. We'll swap in and out here with the boys. So things ended in Dallas the way it typically ends, in a dumpster fire of a game. Now credit in that the Bucs game. What you saw was the Dak Prescott Rain Dakota, first of his name. I've caped for him. That's what you saw in the Bucs game. That I was dreading that you talked me off a ledge. Appreciate that in the previous episode.
No worries.
But what you saw in the following game was a living testament to what has plagued, particularly Dak and particularly this offense. Really. You can trace it back to the Jason Clap Garrett era with Scott Linehan. Wild inconsistency. The fact that you can put up 40 points against the Eagles on Christmas Eve, tour de force, one of the best performances of anybody, really, of the entire 2022-3 season, and then you turn around and score 6 points against Washington a couple weeks later. And then you put up 31 points. I think Dak accounted for 5 touchdowns in that playoff game against the Bucs in Tampa Bay on the road against the GOAT. And then you put up 12 points a week later. My problem with the offense is, again, your quarterback is married to your offensive coordinator. Whether that's your head coach, whether that's an outright OC who calls the plays independently from the head coach. That combination works in the regular season, and it works in spurts. They've had a top 5 offense the past few years, including this year. Since Dak Prescott came back from injury, they've had the number 1 ranked offense in every major statistical category. But the wild inconsistency further cements to me that Kellen Moore's good, he's not great. And the inexperience really reared its head toward the end of the season, just like last year, into the tournament. So what you had is in that finale against the 49ers, you had a defense with Dan Quinn undermanned, you losing your top 2 cornerbacks, led by Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence and Diggs. Those boys, they played. And Leighton Vander Esch, those boys played. They held the 49ers to 9 points going into the fourth quarter. And they held Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey to under 100 yards of total offense between the two of them. George Kittle has a couple flash plays, including that bobbling catch. But you held that. If you were to tell me, Mongo, a couple days out, you know what? In that 49er game in San Fran in the divisional round, you're going to hold the 49ers to 19 points. I'm like, Cowboys are going to win. Cowboys are going to win by 3.
I'd buy that. I would have said more than 3, but yeah. I definitely buy that they would get to 20.
Exactly, minimum. But what you had was the inconsistent throws. You had running 4 comeback routes into zone coverage. You had a lot of the inexperience of Kellen Moore reared its head, and the inconsistency of Dak, and you couple that with losing Tony Pollard, who's the outside of CeeDee Lamb, were your best 2 options at offense, really for the most consistent options for the entire season. You lose really outside of that, what do you have? But you lose Pollard. It all contributed to a souffle of foolishness. And that's why the Cowboys are out. They're out because the OC is not good enough. The offense as a whole is not good enough. The weapons aren't good enough. And Dak wasn't good enough. You know what I mean? I'm not going to absolve and say Dak gets a pass. He doesn't get a pass. You're the franchise quarterback of the team. He didn't play well. He had a passer rating of about 64. That's not going to get it done.
No,
it's not that Brock Purdy outplayed him like ridiculously. Brock Purdy didn't account for a touchdown. He didn't account for a touchdown in the NFC Championship either until he got injured, thanks to Hassan Reddick. So your defense did enough for you to win that game. The offense wet the bed. Losing Amari Cooper came home to roost. I think you could have used him. And again, outside of CeeDee Lamb, what do the Cowboys have? They've got some work to do. You know, you can. It's like looking in a mirror. You give Howie Roseman his flowers, because 2 years ago the Eagles missed the playoffs, if I'm mistaken. You know what I mean? Including tanking the last game, so Washington could the football team at the time could make the playoffs. But that was just 2 years ago, not that far ago, not that long ago. The Eagles are playing in the Super Bowl because Howie Roseman understood. Okay, outside of the draft, we need to be creative. We need to be aggressive. We need to be smart with acquiring talent on every level to complement our quarterback that is still developing. You know, like Jalen Hurts is not, by no means. He had an MVP caliber season this year, but he's still not in the stratosphere of Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow. To me, I don't know how you feel, but to me, but he has developed. And what the Eagles have done is they've surrounded him with an AJ Brown, a Devontae Smith, a Miles Sanders, a Dallas Goedert, the best offensive line in football. And then you couple that on the defensive side. You added Ndamukong Suh, you add Hassan Reddick, you add James Bradbury, you add C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who you stole out of nowhere. Howie Roseman, he gets a round of applause. I will rarely ever do this for an Eagles front office player, person or player, but Howie Roseman gets his flowers. And Stephen Jones and Will McClay, they would be wise to take a page out of his book this upcoming offseason and make impact moves that help this Cowboy team bridge the gap. Because right now they're looking up at Philly. They're looking up at Philly.
Absolutely.
At quarterback, I still would take Dak over Jalen. I still would, personally. But just in terms of a full roster, it's especially on the offensive side. Defenses, I think they're comparable defensive-wise. They really are. But offensive-wise, it's not really that close. It isn't. So they've got a lot of work to do. And, you know, that's why 28 years and counting. Can I get the Celine Dion music one more time? 28 years and counting. Savage for that.
Savage. First of all, before we, there's a lot to break down. There's a lot. You know, let's hit for U-Go on that one, man.
Oh, thank you.
Boy, nailed that.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Thank you. Can I get Don DeMarco for myself?
Absolutely. Well deserved.
Thank you.
First of all, if it's okay with you, as soon as we're done, I'm going online, going to my resume, and I'm changing the tagline for myself to a souffle of foolishness. That is a fantastic tagline. I'm stealing that immediately.
That'll be a staple on the show. I'll make for it.
First off and foremost,
shirts on the way. T-shirts on the way.
But I think you nailed it. And I might be giving credit to the wrong guy here. I think it was Dan Orlovsky, but it was one of those guys. So, and Dan, if you're listening and it was you, great. If it wasn't you, take the credit.
One of the hot take guys.
It was one of those guys.
Okay.
He said his take was they should take the star off the helmet until this team actually accomplishes something. It might have been Steve Young. I apologize. It was one of those guys. But anyway, the point is take the star off, because you're absolutely right. And I'm just going to use James Bradbury as the example. Bradbury was literally trash heap picked by the Eagles. the Cowboys could have easily had him, but you know how the Cowboys would have done it. They would have signed him to 3 years and made him one of the 5 top, paid corners in the league.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
And this Eagle team did such a great job, whether it was figuring out how to appropriately use Kaiser White or Bradbury again, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They were able to steal from the Saints in cap purgatory. Mm-hmm. And what happens is not only do you make the team deeper, but you create this island of misfit toys, we're going to prove the world wrong mentality. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you become a Cowboy, Jerry Jones does a great job of loving his players, don't get me wrong, but it's easy to just have this sense of we are one of his 53.
Entitlement.
So, yeah, exactly. It's entitlement.
It's been a problem 100%
what it is.
For over 2 decades. It's been a problem.
And so, not just who they add, but the way they add them, would go such a long way. There's almost merit to the Cowboys trading down in the first round, no matter where their pick is, no matter what makes sense, just so there's not another golden boy at the top of this thing. And so I think that's important as well.
True. Absolutely. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll wrap with Cowboy Talk here with Kellen Moore. So again, as I mentioned earlier, I don't think Kellen Moore is a terrible OC. I think he's an ascending, inexperienced, solid to good OC. Because again, if you're not a great OC if your offense stops working, particularly in the playoffs.
Right.
Eric Bieniemy, his offense doesn't stop working. Mm-hmm. Nick Sirianni and Steve Steichen, whoever the OC is over in Philadelphia, their offense didn't just stop working. The same with Buffalo's, the same with Cincinnati's, the same with a lot of the top-tier teams. If your offense just stops working sporadically, you've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
You're not there yet. And shout out to Michael Lombardi, friend of the show, one of my mentors, and who I work with on the GM Shuffle, available on all streaming platforms. I used to work on that one. He mentioned it perfectly. The reason why Kellen Moore isn't getting these head coaching jobs, and it would behoove him to align himself with a more seasoned veteran offensive mind to, again, understand situationally you can't call some nonsense in certain situations. Like calling 4 stop routes against cover 3. And again, he did this last year. A lot. Last year. As a matter of fact, he's been doing this sporadically throughout. Like I was watching a clip of Amari Cooper talking. This was in 2018 when the Cowboys defeated the Eagles toward the end of the year. One of the greatest games ever. I think in overtime. Walk-off touchdown by Cooper. There was Cooper went off in that game. I think he had over 200 yards receiving. Boy, they could have used that in the playoffs. But they wanted to trade him for a 5th-round draft pick. That's neither here nor there. But Cooper was mentioning that on one particular play, I think it was the last touchdown he scored in regulation before the Eagles tied it up and forced overtime. Kellen Moore called stop routes against zone coverage, and Cooper went over to Dak, and literally before the play started, when he got the call, Cooper was like, "Yo, Dak, really? Like, come on!" And then Dak was like, "It's all right, just run it." Dak gets to the line, he's like, "Yeah, we can't run this because this is going to get intercepted." They changed the call at the line. Dak signaled touchdown. But that was 5 years ago.
Right.
That was 5 years ago. Fast forward to the 49er game, you saw the same thing, especially on the breakdown the day after. A lot of you can't call that there because that's going to screw up your quarterback. Especially if your quarterback's still figuring things out and battling some turnover demons, especially this year, still working back from the thumb injury and whatever he's got going on. It is the job of the OC and the quarterback. They are married at the hip. It's a partnership.
Right.
If you're setting him up for failure, he's going to fail. And again, they go hand in hand. So we'll see how he. Real quick, we'll wrap there. I think that him with Herbert can go either 2 ways. He'll grow with Herbert, and Herbert will take the next step, or you're going to see a lot of the same of why did Herbert throw 4? Why did the Chargers run 4 stop routes in a cover 2? Either he's going to learn from it, or you're going to see a lot of the same frustration of, wow, Chargers just scored 48 points this week. Why did they score 14 the next? Why did they score 3 the next?
Right, and it really comes down to this. Is this just a very slow developing coach? Is this just a case of job immaturity? Or is this just a case of stubbornness? If this is just, I am Kellen Moore, I am God's gift to offense, we are going to do it my way, then no, this is going to go nowhere. I started laughing, by the way, when you said he should tie himself to a veteran mind, because man, that is probably the worst head coach you could there, Kellen Moore. The coaching in Los Angeles right now is that's gonna be trouble.
How Staley still has a job after blowing that game to the Jags, that's beyond me. Yeah, fire Lombardi, fire the OC.
Yeah, we do not have the multiple hours to cover that one half of football, but
Lordy, oh my God. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Mike McCarthy is calling plays next year.
Which I'm okay with.
Which I'm fine with. Again, he had success in Green Bay. We'll see. You want to talk? He's putting himself on the hot seat by doing that. But again, they've won 24 games in the last 2 years with Mike McCarthy at the helm. I trust this as of now. We'll see how it plays out. Lord knows we'll talk about it here on the U-Goboy podcast, live from Bravery Studios.
U-Goboy.
But we'll see how that plays out. I'm interested. And I'm also interested to see what they do in the draft. We're definitely going to cover the draft. We'll have a draft super show as we always do.
So ready for that.
Draft season, free agency season. That show is on the way. The Combine is right around the corner. The Senior Bowl, the East-West Shrine Game, they're on the way. So we'll have a lot to talk about, after the Super Bowl, which I will not watch. That Mongo will be watching. That'll do it for the Dallas Cowboys in 22-23. One more time. Thank you.
How about that?
Thank you, Marv. Appreciate that. Marv on the boards, by the way. Marv on the boards.
Love you, Marv.
So the Super Bowl is upon us, and we can tie that in with the playoffs. Let's get to Championship Sunday real quick, and then we'll segue into the Super Bowl. So in the first semifinal of the Final Four, we had the NFC Championship game. You had the Eagles against the 49ers. That Eagle defense, straight Michael Jordan meme. George Kittle, you want to say we're good on paper? Yeah, we took that personally. They beat up the 49ers. I just watched the highlights because I was watching The Whale with Brendan Fraser, who should win the Oscar.
Shout out to Brendan Fraser.
Again,
of course.
But I watched the highlights, and NSFW, Lord, that Eagles front and secondary, they beat the snot out of the 49ers. They ran the ball down their throats. They were blowing guys off the line. They were hitting guys hard. Deebo Samuel was not a factor. McCaffrey had one splash play. That's about it. They knocked out Brock Purdy. They knocked out Josh Johnson. Brock Purdy came back in, couldn't throw the ball anymore. They were running triple options like it was college football on PlayStation 2.
It was fun, don't get me wrong.
It's fun to watch.
It was miserable.
Miserable if you're a 49er fan or player or supporter or coach. But yeah, so we'll go with the NFC Championship game first. So the Eagles definitely showed that they are the class of the NFC. In all three phases, give credit where credit is due, and we talked about the roster construction as well. How did they dominate this game?
Straight numbers, to be quite honest. I mean, look at the obvious number. One team had one quarterback, one team had no quarterbacks. I mean, you don't have to look much further than that. But the thing about the Eagles is, and we'll talk more about this when we compare them to Kansas City, they have depth everywhere, and particularly they have it in the trenches. When you can go, 3 running backs deep plus a quarterback who basically acts as your de facto running back. We saw this with the Bengals in the Super Bowl last year. Who your 6th, 7th, 8th offensive lineman is incredibly important. The fact that they have basically everyone in their front seven is a threat to pick up a sack on any play, and then their backups are too.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly deep team that just is relentless. They just will not give up. I love the fact that they are, when you watch their position players, they all want to be the star, but they all understand their role as well.
True.
You could see, especially in the Giant game, we have to go back a little, but you could see A.J. Brown clearly frustrated, but clearly aware of the fact that a win is still a win, the anti-Elijah Moore, as it were. And so,
savage, please, savage.
Savage.
And so, it's an absolute numbers game, but they are just, so much deeper. The other thing is, as obviously we're going to talk about the Super Bowl here in a couple minutes, thank goodness the NFC went straight chalk, because if the Eagles managed to have a bad game, knock on wood, there was an injury, and we ended up with, Chiefs Vikings, you're looking at one of those Super Bowls that ends 50-10, like some of the early 90s Super Bowls.
That's true.
Because you just look around the rest of the NFC, Tampa Bay figuratively ran out of offensive linemen. San Francisco literally ran out of
Quarterbacks,
you know.
yeah.
I know you love Mike McCarthy, but he basically is to the NFL what The Miz is to the Rumble, where he's always going to be in it. He always seems like he belongs there, but he just kind of bows out quietly, and you forget he was ever even there in the first place.
That's a Don DeMarco right there.
You know, what if they didn't win? What else was going to come out of the NFC? And I appreciate the Eagles recognized that they took each game with an equal degree of seriousness. There were no scares for them, and they ran this thing like a sprint. I mean, it's a marathon, but they got ahead and they never looked back.
It's the truth. I mean, and like the video, subscribe to the channel. Listen, they set up franchise records for touchdowns. They set franchise records for sacks. I think they had the most sacks as a team, over 70, since the '85 Bears. Again, more applause. This kills me. I can't wait to edit this. More applause for Howie Roseman. He put together a juggernaut.
Yeah,
he really did. And 2 years ago, this team didn't win more than 6 games.
No.
2 years ago. We'll talk about a turnaround. So, yeah, Jalen Hurts was on that team. He was, and a lot of these Eagle players were, but they revamped things and got this thing rolling really quickly, quickly.
And like you alluded to with the Cowboys, it came from everywhere. It was high. Some of these are high price free agents. Some of these are big trades. Some of these are high draft picks. Some of these are
free agents.
Some are right. Some are undrafted free agents. Relentless is just the word I'm going to keep using here, because they at no point said this is good enough, which in the NFC this year you easily could have. You could have said, I can easily get to 6 or 7 and then make a run from there, like I kind of feel like Pete Carroll did for about this back half of, he recognized 7 was obtainable when his team was like, trying to figure out who they were going to draft 4th overall. And so I appreciate Philadelphia saying we are going to treat this like we are going to run into one of these AFC Titans, and that's how they got there, because they had a different vision than I feel like a lot of the rest of the NFC did.
Agreed. And they ran roughshod. There's a reason why they're playing in Arizona on the 12th. Let's flip it around. The AFC championship game. So first and foremost, let's back up a bit. Cincinnati, they ran through Buffalo, which was wild in the snow. Joe Burrow looked like he looked and played as if he was playing against Clemson. That's what it looked like. I watched that whole game.
That's fair.
I watched that whole game, and I'm just watching him go about his business in the snow, mind you, not ideal conditions, and I'm just like, Joe Burrow is so much better than Josh Allen. Like, it's not even close, particularly on that day. Now, people can say, we've mentioned it before on previous sports talks, they crowned Buffalo and basically made it seem as if the gap between Buffalo, Kansas City, and everybody else was so steep. And what did I say? Again, U-Goboy was right. Give myself a Ric Flair woo. I said, if the Bengals got into this thing, it's not a slam dunk and it's not a foregone that you're going to get Kansas City and Buffalo in the AFC Championship game, and I was right. Kansas City, just talk about the construction of the team, the quarterback, their style of play. They can beat anybody, not just in the AFC, but anybody in the NFC, just as likely. You know what I mean? And they went from losing to Cooper Rush early in the year to nobody wanted to see them.
Right. So
there was a reason why they were in the AFC Championship game. Now, to the AFC title game, it came down to the wire. I feel like the Bengal supporters and writers and players calling it Burrowhead was a mistake.
I could not agree more.
Was a mistake. Again, Michael Jordan meme. We're gonna get that drop next. So the Bart Scott drop and the Michael Jordan, I took that personally drop on the way. But
it was when the Cincinnati mayor made a resolution. I think
my God.
As funny as that was, the people who said it was inappropriate get a sense of humor. Now the people who said why poke the bear, yeah, you're not wrong. There's a big difference between was it appropriate and was it effective, and very different. That was a terrible idea, because again, to quote my boy Robert Saleh, we're keeping receipts on everything right nowadays, especially in the social media world. And Cincinnati is never going to live that down. The fact that the Kansas City players in their post conferences. I don't know if they all purposely did this or if they discussed and said
it was purposely. It was intentional.
They all started by calling it Burrowhead, but then at the end would switch over to Arrowhead, and I think it was Chris Jones. It was one of them. It was on. It was the radio broadcast.
I saw that.
Where he goes, he very emphatically goes, and remember, this is Arrowhead, and he storms away, and this poor reporter just goes, I had another question, but thank you. It was a classic. It was a Bart Scott-esque moment.
Yeah,
but
sure.
They all did a great job of reminding everybody one more time, this is the mistake you made. This is the correction. You are in our home. Thank you for coming. And that was a terrible idea.
Absolutely. Not to mention, they still got this guy called Patty Mahomes. And that'll segue into the Super Bowl talk, but we'll wrap here with the AFC title game talk. Yeah, Burrow's that guy, and head-to-head, I gave them their flowers on previous sports talk. They know how to play the Chiefs consistently. He was 3-0, I believe, head-to-head, or 4-0, I believe, head-to-head against Mahomes. But Mahomes is still Mahomes.
Yeah.
He's still, hands down, unequivocally, the guy. He is the best quarterback in football, period. It's Mahomes. The conversation starts with Mahomes and everybody else. I would say A and B, Mahomes and Burrow right now. If you put the spotlight on me like a episode of Dragnet from the 50s or 60s, like I'd say, yeah, Mahomes, Burrow, and whoever the hell you want to say after that. But yeah, it's so going into the Super Bowl now. You perfectly wrapped up the Chiefs taking it personally. Quarterback wise, Chiefs get the edge, unequivocally. Right. That goes without saying. And there's no shame in that.
Right. And that's no offense to Jalen Hurts. So I actually, we don't have enough time to break this down. I actually have him much higher than you. I can just tell from the way you're talking.
True.
It doesn't change the fact that they could be allowed to have 4 quarterbacks standing on each other's shoulders and using all 8 arms at once. I would still take Mahomes. You're absolutely right in that it's Mahomes' world.
Now, flipping. I'll get back to that real quick. But a quick segue. Just breaking down conferences because the AFC is loaded.
Right.
Loaded. You got Mahomes. You got Burrow. You got Allen. You've got Lamar Jackson. He's still there. You might have Aaron Rodgers there next year. You know what I mean? You got Herbert as well. But in NFC now with Brady retiring, with Rodgers leaving, it's really, if you think about it, it's Hurts and Dak.
Right. And
you could make the argument, of course, because he's won a Super Bowl, go recency bias. You can go with Stafford as well. Kind of. Yeah, I know. But I put Stafford in the same realm as Kirk Cousins.
Conversely, put Cooper Kupp on either the Eagles or the Cowboys, and they go 15-2. I mean, he has the cheat code. So.
Savage there. But no, just breaking, because it's easy for me. It's just easier to break it down, conference-wise and whatnot. Yes, absolutely. Hurts is he's in the elite of the elite for a reason. And right now, currently, I like, especially considering that he's playing in the Super Bowl. Dak hasn't even made it to a conference championship game. Yes, you give the nod to Hurts now, unequivocally. I'm with you on that. But going into the Super Bowl, just matchup to matchup. Again, I give the defense 1,000% to the Eagles.
Right.
Give the quarterback to Kansas City.
1,000% also.
Offensive weapons, I give to the Eagles.
Also correct.
Coaching, I give to Kansas City.
Also, yes, but I'll break that down further when we make our final predictions.
Okay.
But
for sure.
Just in a vacuum, you're correct.
Yes. So with that being said, I see this. I don't see a blowout either way. I see whoever has the ball last. That's how I see it. And I say that because Mahomes' health is going to be paramount. This 2 weeks is great for him, and this you can make the same argument for with Hurts with the shoulder because he's still not 100% there either. He did not play particularly great in either of the playoffs. It's just that the defense beat the brakes off the Giants and beat the brakes off the 49ers.
Right.
He didn't throw for more than 150 yards in the NFC title game. You know what I mean? But again, no turnovers, ran the offense efficiently, and this offense, of course, works paramountly better with him versus Gardner Minshew.
Of course.
But I say whoever has the ball last, it should be a good game. It should be an entertaining game. I would be shocked if it's a blowout either way. Like if you were to tell me, because I'll text you when the game's over because I won't be watching. But if I text you like, bro, what the hell happened? And you're just like, well, yeah. You give me the outline. I'm like, wow, that's wild. So I think to me it's a toss up. I can't even pick right now. But how do you see the teams matching up? How do you see it playing out in Arizona in a couple of days?
So first of all, I think your breakdown is absolutely correct in terms of who has edges where. And I'm
Ric Flair rule for myself, please. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
And I will say this. Well, I'm hoping we get enough time here to go over a couple fun little prop bets. The one thing I would not do is I would not bet on this game. I can't actually tell you I feel
please.
confident.
Savage.
I do not feel confident in who I'm about to say I think is going to win at the end of this. I think I'm with you 100%. I think this is close. But now here's where I think the key is. The Eagles love getting off to their fast starts. So it's going to come down to two things. Can the Eagles have a 7+ point lead at some point in the first 20, 25 minutes of this game? And then how long can they hold that lead?
True.
If it is 13-3 at some point in the first quarter and then 19-9 somewhere in the third quarter, the Eagles win this game. It might be 19-16, it might be 22-19, but the Eagles can win. If it's 10-10 at the end of the first, in the form of 7-7, 10-10, like it goes back and forth, not a chance. The Chiefs have this. I think it'll still stay close, but I think that's what it ultimately comes down to. Can the Eagles get a lead? Can they keep that lead? And that's why when you were talking about the coaching, I think it comes down to if Nick Sirianni can say, this is what we've done, this is what we know works, this is what we have to do one more time. If he can be controlled, Andy Reid's the better coach, but if Nick Sirianni can be Nick Sirianni, if he can just do his thing, then I think he can be a good enough coach to go toe-to-toe with Andy Reid.
On that day, on that particular day.
Right. If you see them start running Philly 5 minutes into the game, if you see them, if Miles Sanders throws a pass in this thing, if they go more than if Devonta Smith gets more than 3 looks of 40 or more yards, they don't have a shot in this game. If they come out and try and do the classic, we're the underdog thing. Which,
doing too much.
Again, even no matter what the numbers say, it's easy to sell them as the underdog because they're the team in the Super Bowl that doesn't have Pat Mahomes.
Right.
So it's easy to come out and want to play that sort of David Goliath card. Might be the better way, right? Because I think we can all agree, even if Mahomes isn't always the favorite, he's always the Goliath.
True.
So if they try to play that game, it's going to bite them in the butt. This needs to be. And sorry for those of you looking to just have a fun day of hanging out with friends, eating and drinking. For the Eagles to have a chance, this needs to be a boring Super Bowl. And then just last thing I'll say, if you are a gambler and you're trying to look for sort of a critical thinking question here, there's a lot of trends here to Georgia TCU. You have, in Kansas City, you have the SEC powerhouse, and what you were just alluding to. The AFC was a war every week, right? They are from the proven conference, and they are the budding dynasty. They have, elite talent at a ton of, key positions. Whereas you have the Eagles, who are a little bit more, but who'd they play?
Right.
They're the upstart team. They came out of nowhere. They have some flashy, players. Your Quentin Johnsons in this analogy. But how are they going to do when they compare against that Titan? And so, in the same way that I said back in January, ask yourself the question: how would TCU have done in the SEC this year? How would they have done against LSU? How would they have done against Bama? Ask the question that you were saying about Jalen Hurts if he switched over. Do you think the Eagles would have been competitive in the AFC this year? And so I personally do, which is why I have this being that close and why I ultimately, spoiler, am saying right here, right now, I think the Eagles win this thing.
Yeah.
But that's the question. If you are on the fence, if you are deciding where to pick in a pool, where to gamble, where to anything, that's the question you need to be asking yourself. How would the Eagles have done in the AFC this year? Because they came from two totally different walks of life. It's unfair to look at the stats, look at the wins, look at anything, and try and use statistics here.
Oh, well done. Dom DeMargo from Mongo, as always. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We got 4 minutes left. We're going to put the prop bets in the bio because we have to. So they'll be available in the link below, as well as U-Goboy merch. U-Goboy merch in the link below. So we'll put the prop bets as well. Mongo's going to send them to me. You guys will get those.
You're welcome in advance. I'm just telling you now. Tails never fails. That's all I'm going to say.
For sure. For sure. And those prop bets are brought to you by U-Goboy.com, as well as I-80 Sports.
I-80 Sports.
As well.
Basketball and baseball.
For sure.
Like us, find us,
for
love
sure.
us.
So we've got a couple minutes real quick before we wrap. The Royal Rumble. Again, big round of applause for the lovely, 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 sexy Aussie, Rhea Ripley. Congrats, girl. You deserve it. One of the best talents in the world, really, at professional wrestling. And big congrats as well to Cody Rhodes. Oh my goodness. It's a foregone conclusion. I see him with the Bret Hart winged belt. Yeah, I'm gonna say it, the Bret Hart winged belt, because I only think about him, Stone Cold, and Shawn Michaels when I look at that belt, because that's the one I grew up with.
Right.
So yeah, I see him. I see him going to Mania. I see him having a 5-star classic match. I see both Royal Rumble winners will be winners at WrestleMania, in my opinion.
Okay.
That's what I see. The only thing I would say is I would rather have seen, but I understand for long-term booking, because Charlotte and Rhea do have some unfinished business from a previous rivalry they had before Charlotte got injured. So I see why they wanted to continue that story. But I think the better match on the women's side would have been Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. I really believe that. You got power, athleticism, charisma, promo. Both women have the total package,
right?
Hands down. From NXT, from the Indies to NXT to the big show, WWE knocked out the park with both of these ladies. So I would have rather have seen that, but I understand why they have to put Charlotte in there, because of the legacy factor. But
right.
Go ahead.
And what it does also is, the one thing Charlotte has that Bianca just can't have is size, right? You're putting together the two effectively giants. Obviously you have Tamina, you have Nia Jax, you have bigger, but you look at Rhea, you look at Charlotte, and you go, that is just an absolute battle of specimens.
Facts. Big facts there.
And so
Don DeMarco there.
And so we saw some things. Mind if I segue over to the Rumble?
Yeah.
Here, we actually saw in the Rumble. If you're a fan of storytelling, this was an awful Rumble. But if you're a fan of subtlety, Triple H did something that I absolutely love here. He had basically MCs in both Rumbles. In the men's, every time things kind of got back together, it was Sheamus and McIntyre just in the middle of things. Sheamus effectively hosted this Rumble, which was awesome. I loved that, because no matter whether he's a face or a heel at any given time, he's an ultimate good guy. I have memories of when the Muppets did an episode and Sheamus and Beaker were cousins.
Oh my God.
And Sheamus famously broke kayfabe when Darren Young came out. He made Darren Young feel very comfortable backstage. He's always been famously a good guy. And so what was nice was, on the flip side, you had Bayley, who's the ultimate heel right now, kind of being in the middle of everything. And what it did was it sneakily made the women look stronger. Even having the men open and be before the women, by having the men's host be this sweetheart of a Sheamus and the women be this beast in Bayley, you set up the women to look stronger, and now you put that together with the ultimate result of having these two titans in Ripley and Charlotte face each other. They basically used the message of the Rumble to set up the two matchups, because you have, the more, agile Cody Rhodes coming out of the men in the more gentle Rumble, not to use that word incorrectly, but you get my point. Whereas on the women's side, where it felt a little more feisty, you end up with these two gladiators. So
Facts.
I really like the way that the atmosphere of the Rumble led to the matchups we got. It was well written for what was otherwise a very uneventful Royal Rumble.
Big facts. I have to go back and rewatch it. I was away, so I missed it. I was out, I think, in New York, so I missed it. But I have Peacock, so I can watch it whenever, and I'm definitely gonna watch it before WrestleMania. But yeah, it should be fun. Mania should be fun. Can't wait for it. This is gonna be a classic with Cody Rhodes. Again, I see Rhodes dethroning the tribal chief, and I don't see us getting The Rock versus Roman. They might hold off on that. Who knows? But they might sneak it in on night 2. Who knows? But anyway, we have to wrap here. Again, get a big round of applause as always. We got Mongo here. We got myself. Thank you all for tuning in. One more, real quick. As always, you guys can catch me, U-Goboy88 on all platforms: TikTok, IG, Facebook, u-goboy.com for the mothership for everything. U-Goboy Music streaming everywhere. Jonah the Great, Juice vs. Sauce, 5-Star Dancer, Bruce Wayne Money, Tippin' all the time. And a video drops on my birthday, February 16th.
Yes.
When I get back from Rome, Italy with the lady, I can't wait to talk about it with you next time I see you. We got new episodes of the pod on the way. Road to 1 million, live from Bravery Studios. Shout out to the Base Podcast. Grab the merch as always. Mongo's got the merch. I've got the merch. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we're gonna sign off like this as always. That's the belt. That's the other belt. This Mongo! I'm U-Goboy. Love ya. Whoa!
It's a whole vibe. I don't need a plug, no cosign. Thinking out loud, that's a gold mine. Mask on, yeah, COVID-19. Baby mama, yeah, looking like Rihanna. Rest in peace to George, rest in peace Brianna. Still kicking like Van Damme with my niggas in Amsterdam.
You go, boy.
Yahtzee.